The deep blue, an ancestral mirror reflecting the celestial vault and hiding within its depths the secrets of time immemorial. Even before the first vessel furrowed its waters, the ocean was already a primordial force, a cradle of life and an abyss of mysteries. Humanity, born of the earth, has always looked upon this vastness with a mixture of awe and fascination, a silent call to the unknown. It was on this threshold, between the safety of firm ground and the promise of the horizon, that the journey of maritime navigation began. Not with grand feats, but with the simple observation of a floating log, a leaf carried by the current, and the intuition that water could be a path rather than merely a barrier. The first steps were hesitant, yet filled with an innate audacity. Dugout canoes, rudimentary rafts, hides stretched over wooden frames, each invention, however simple, represented a triumph over inertia, a small victory against immensity. Riverbanks and coastal inlets were the first laboratories where the relationship between man and water was forged. The sound of the oar cutting through the surface, the smell of wet wood, the sensation of the gentle rocking beneath one's feet. All of this became part of a new language, a dialogue with the elements. The earliest voyages were short, dictated by the visibility of the coast, the strength of arms, and the promise of food or shelter. Yet, the seed of exploration was already planted, and with it, the inevitable quest to go beyond, to see what lay past the next bend, the next island. Over time, the observation of the skies and the winds transformed navigation from an intuitive art into an embryonic science. The stars, silent guides in the darkness of the night, and the sun, an infallible clock during the day, became the first instruments of orientation. Wave patterns, the flight of seabirds, the color of the water. Every detail was a map, an omen, vital information for those who ventured far from land. Polynesian canoes, with their triangular sails and double hulls, represent one of the pinnacles of this era, allowing ancient peoples to cross vast oceans, colonizing distant islands and weaving a web of cultures across the Pacific. The courage of these navigators, who launched themselves into the sea without the certainty of return, is a testament to the driving force that propels humanity. Insatiable curiosity and the need to expand our own limits. The Mediterranean, a cradle of civilizations, saw the blossoming of maritime empires. Phoenicians, Greeks, and Romans, each in their own way, refined the art of shipbuilding and navigation. Galleys, propelled by the strength of hundreds of rowers, were engines of war and commerce, connecting ports and cultures, spreading ideas and merchandise. The smell of salt and wood, the chant of the rowers, the snapping of sails in the wind, all of this composed the symphony of life aboard. Navigation was not merely a means of transportation. It was the backbone of economies, the bridge between peoples, and the engine of territorial expansion. Trade routes became veins pulsing with the life of the ancient world, and mastery of the seas was synonymous with power and prosperity. At every port, new stories were told, new knowledge was exchanged, and the web of civilization became denser and more complex. The Middle Ages brought innovations that, though gradual, were revolutionary. The compass, a gift from the East, freed navigators from exclusive dependence on the stars, allowing for safer voyages on cloudy days and moonless nights. The astrolabe, a tool to measure the height of celestial bodies, refined the ability to determine latitude. The lateen sail, with its capacity to sail against the wind, opened new possibilities for routes and maneuvers. Viking ships, with their robust hulls and ability to navigate both rivers and open seas, braved the North Atlantic, reaching distant lands like Greenland and North America long before the Age of Discovery. The icy mist of the Atlantic, the roar of the waves against the hull, the immense solitude of the open sea. These were the companions of the Vikings, who, with their audacity and skill, redefined the limits of the known world. But it was the Age of Discovery that truly transformed navigation into a global force. Portuguese caravels, with their multiple masts and combined sails, were agile and resilient vessels, capable of facing Atlantic storms and rounding the Cape of Good Hope. The quest for new trade routes to the Indies, driven by a thirst for spices and wealth, led to expeditions that rewrote the map of the world. The sound of waves crashing against the bow, the creaking of wood under the tension of the wind, the smell of pitch and sea. All of this was the soundtrack to an era of unprecedented exploration. With every new land sighted and every new people encountered, the world expanded, and the interconnection between continents became an undeniable reality. Navigation ceased to be just a means of transportation and became a catalyst for cultural, economic, and political change on a planetary scale. The following centuries witnessed a naval arms race and the continuous refinement of maritime technology. Spanish galleons, with their grandeur and capacity to carry vast wealth, and British ships of the line, with their devastating artillery, dominated the oceans, securing control over empires and trade routes. Life aboard was harsh, marked by rigorous discipline, a scarcity of resources, and the constant threat of storms and battles. The smell of gunpowder and salt, the cries of sailors amidst the fury of combat, the tense silence before the storm. These were the dramas played out on the decks. Navigation during this period was a reflection of global geopolitics, an instrument of power and the projection of influence. Great naval battles, such as Trafalgar, were not just clashes of ships, but conflicts of ideologies and the destinies of nations. The Industrial Revolution brought the greatest transformation in the history of navigation since the invention of the sail. Steam. Steamships, independent of the whims of the wind, could maintain fixed routes and schedules, revolutionizing the transport of cargo and passengers. The rhythmic sound of the engines, the smell of coal and oil, the smoke rising to the heavens, all of this heralded a new era of speed and efficiency. The crossing of the Atlantic, once a journey of weeks, was reduced to days, shortening distances and bringing continents closer together. Great ocean liners, true floating cities, became symbols of progress and luxury, carrying immigrants in search of new lives and tourists in search of adventure. Steam navigation not only accelerated global trade, but also facilitated mass migration, shaping the demographics and culture of diverse nations. The 20th century saw the rise of steel as the predominant material in shipbuilding, allowing for the creation of vessels of gigantic proportions. Oil tankers, with their capacity to transport millions of barrels of oil, and container ships, which revolutionized global logistics, are the unsung heroes of the modern economy. The constant hum of diesel engines, the smell of fuel and metal, the vastness of the deck stretching to the horizon. These are the elements of contemporary navigation. The precision of satellite navigation systems, the automation of onboard processes, the global interconnection of fleets. All of this reflects the complexity and sophistication of today's maritime industry. Oceans, which were once barriers, have become the main arteries of world trade, carrying over 80% of the planet's goods. Navigation today is an invisible pillar sustaining modern life, connecting factories to markets, producers to consumers, in a global dance of supply and demand. However, the grandeur of modern navigation does not come without its challenges. The environmental footprint of the giants of the sea, the threat of plastic and oil pollution, and the overfishing that depletes marine resources. All of this demands a new awareness, a new approach. The smell of fuel, which was once synonymous with progress, now evokes the urgency of sustainability. The quest for cleaner fuels, more efficient routes, and technologies that minimize environmental impact. This is the new frontier of maritime innovation. The oceans, which have witnessed the evolution of humanity, now cry out for protection, for a balance that guarantees their health and our very survival. The navigation of the future will be defined not only by the ability to go farther or faster, but by the wisdom to coexist in harmony with the marine environment. And so, the journey continues. From a simple log to the artificial intelligence that guides autonomous ships, the evolution of maritime navigation is a mirror of human evolution itself. It is a story of adaptation, innovation, and an unbreakable connection with the element of water. The sea, in its eternal mutability, remains the great master, teaching lessons of humility, resilience, and the interdependence of all things. The sound of waves crashing on the shore, an echo of millennia of voyages, reminds us that no matter how much technology advances, the essence of navigation resides in humanity's eternal quest to unravel the mysteries of the deep blue, to understand our place on this vast and wondrous planet. And as long as there is a horizon to be reached, A new port to be discovered, the saga of navigation will continue to be written, an ode to the audacity and beauty of the natural world.